All right. So given all of that, Bobby, what should we be eating?
So it's really going to depend on your goal. And I want to reference arguably the greatest Olympian of all time, Michael Phelps, who won 947 medals, gold, bronze, silver.
They say that, but he won one medal in my estimation for swimming. Okay. But he had a lot of those.
He won a lot of them, right? My point is, people came at him for his diet. And he ate Subway. He said he was eating like a box of Lucky Charms or Fruit Loops. I can't remember what the cereal was, but it was
10,000 calories a day or something he was eating.
And like he ate a lot of trash in his diet.
Yeah.
But you have to do that when you're training 1,300 hours a year. I'm actually pulling my calculator out. If you're training 1,300 hours a year for 10 years straight, 1,300 divided by 52, 25 hours a week of hard training. Not showing up at the gym, punching your membership card, riding on an elliptical trainer. Not that there's anything wrong with an elliptical trainer, but he's not hanging out. He's not doing recreational swimming. Like the guy is training 25 hours a week, and that's without a week off. So if he takes a week off, now you got to add all that other volume. You know, if you do that on, say, a 7-day work week, man, he's training 3.5 hours a day without a day off, period, and training really, really hard. You're going to need calories to fuel that. So he's going to eat a lot of foods just to eat the calories. You were saying earlier, 10,000 calories a day. Okay, that's what you got to burn to do it. It's really hard to eat 10,000 calories a day in really healthy food. Like dare you.
And I think it's almost pointless at a certain point because like you only need so much vitamin A. You only need so much zinc. And like once you've hit that number, like it's just the energy that you're after beyond that.
You're good. And try. What I was going to say, Joe, is I dare you. This would actually be a great thing for a podcast episode or like a blog. I want you to try to eat 10,000 calories a day in chicken breast and broccoli. Like it's just not going to happen at that point, right?
Yeah.
So there's eating for performance. And the argument was, well, he's going to have diabetes when he's 50. He's not going to care. Not with his 37 gold medals. So I think it was actually 32, which is insane. But he's not going to care, right? The other thing that we talk about when we're eating is not eating for performance, but eating for health and longevity. And that applies for every Michael Phelps. There are 10 million people in the country who aren't ever going to be Olympians, who aren't ever going to do that. Like your chances, I ran the math on this the other day. You know what the chances of making the Olympics are, Joe, statistically? 0.
I guess that makes sense. I mean, how many total Americans go to the Olympics every 4 years or every 2 years, if you want to include both, right?
Versus how many people? Let's say there's even 500 Olympians we send there.
Yeah.
How many people are in the country? Like it's literally statistically 0.
So
everybody else,
320 million. Like you got 500 out of 320 million.
Yeah, it's an insane number. It's like 0.00000.
It's funny to me how you say it. Like your chances, like you might just randomly get selected. Like the people who go, they are specifically trying to go. And
there was a number,
small number of people who are going to make that cut.
There was a number that's comparative. Kids that make the NBA, 4 out of 1 million.
Yeah.
So do the math on that. It's statistically 0. And by the way, that's just signing an NBA contract. That's not having a job for 5 years. That's just
stepping onto court just to practice.
Thinking.
Yeah.
108 kids this year declared for the NBA draft out of 320 million people in the United States. You might think you're going to the NBA, but the answer is probably not. Let's be clear on that. So for everyone else, you're eating for longevity, you're eating for health. And so that's what I want to talk about today. I say we come up with pick a number, 8, 10, let's go with 12. 12 foods that you should eat for longevity. And I want to make it clear. These aren't the only foods you should ever eat. There's going to be arguments about what should be 13 or 14 or 15, right? There's always those ones on the fringes. But here are 12 foods I think that you should eat for longevity, Joe.
All right, let's go through a list.
And by the way, if you are watching this and you expected some high performance type stuff, I promise you these would make you perform better as well. I've always said this, don't train for performance, train for health. And on a platform of health, you will have better performance.
True. Yep.
So, number 1, Joe, You got to go with steak, red meat.
Protein, nutrient dense. Yep.
Could it be ground beef? Sure. Could it be, like a roast instead of a steak? Sure. Like it doesn't matter. But I say steak because I like steak better, but you need some form of red meat. Man can live off red meat alone. Man can't live off of wheat alone or berries alone. Like you would starve to death. So red meat, I call it nature's perfect vitamin. You mentioned it. All the vitamins, all the minerals, literally every single thing that you need to survive. The other beauty of red meat is you can choose whether you want it to be calorically dense or not calorically dense. So you want it to be calorically dense, get your 70-30 ground beef, get your 60-40 Wagyu, get your ribeye. If you want it to be really, really lean, get a filet. Get like a sirloin. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of control. I mean, there's preferences too. Like I tend to prefer leaner cuts, but I'm also like, if I'm trying to lean out, a ribeye is probably a poor choice.
Right. Or I saw at the grocery store the other day, it used to be 90-10. Now they have 93-7 ground beef, which is almost fat free. So you've got some choice in terms of manipulating your calories. So steak's number one or red meat's number one. If that's 1A or 1B, however you want to word it, is going to be the egg. Again, nature's perfect vitamin. It's a velociraptor's favorite snack to just rip the top off an egg and drink it down. But an egg literally has everything you need. And when you look at like a protein bioavailability score table, Joe, red meat and eggs both have a 1.0, which means they are like a perfect 100% complete source of protein.
And I can already hear the comments, oh, cholesterol, oh, carcinogens. And I'm just going to point out, there's a big difference between eating like a fried sausage or a fried slab of bacon and eating a, medium rare ribeye, or eating a hard-boiled egg versus like constantly eating eggs fried in vegetable oils, right? Like,
where are your eggs coming from? Like, do you have chickens? A buddy of mine just bought 8 chickens for his backyard. That's like not a joke.
Yeah.
He's going to have like the happiest and grain-fed, like whatever chickens in the world versus chickens that come from a factory versus chickens that are, doped up full of all kinds of hormones and stuff like that. But eggs are perfect. And to your cholesterol point, cholesterol is mostly genetic. I know people, and this is a fact. You don't believe me. You can look this up. You can ask Grok or whoever the boss of ChatGPT is. There are people out there who eat everything, quote unquote, right, and they still have sky high cholesterol. There are people who eat everything wrong and their cholesterol is still low. In fact, genetics will account for 85% of your cholesterol. So eggs on the menu. The next, and I would put this right up there with red meat and eggs, this would be 1C, a nice piece of fish, Joe.
Oh, yeah. Tuna, fish is a superfood for sure. And there's lots of variety.
Right. Don't come at me with the tuna in the can's bad for you because it has mercury and chemicals and all that stuff. You cannot compare tuna in a can to a tuna steak to like an Atlantic salmon. Like those are all very different things, if you will. But fish has all the protein you need, all the vitamins you need, all the minerals you need. It's got a great source of a healthy fat. You think how many people are just shucking down, and I'm one of those people because I don't eat a lot of fish, but fish oil capsules, trying to get their omega-3s, fish is we all need to eat more fish. And when people talk about how healthy this Mediterranean diet is, people in the Mediterranean eat a lot more fish because it's abundantly available than they do.
That's where like societies come from, right? It's like, the seaside, being a fisherman is like one of the most important trades. We need farmers, we need fishermen, we got a society.
Yes.
So fish. All of human evolution has been around where we can catch fish.
You got it. Next up, another protein source. Surprise, surprise. Chicken.
Yes.
Chicken's another great source of protein. Now, there is some people that won't rank it as high as fish. They won't rank it as high as steak. They won't rank it as high as eggs. But it is still a really good 100% complete source of protein. Falls into the same category as the meat, the eggs, and the fish show. Where are you getting it from? What's it injected with? What are the side effects of the chemicals? Like Are there steroids in it? All of those things. But chicken, all things being equal, is an incredible food. And I think the reason I wanted to put these four first is one of the greatest predictors of your longevity is your muscle mass.
Yes.
You want to have muscle mass? You have to consume a good quality source of protein. And no protein powder from someone that drinks a lot of shakes and has a lot of protein powder every day. Guaranteed you've got one too. It was almost like we rehearsed that, but we didn't. Protein powder is not enough. You need it from real food. If I dropped you in on Naked and Afraid and gave you 3 chicken breasts a day, you'd be fine. If I gave you 3 ribeyes a day, you'd be fine. If I just gave you protein powder, you would starve out.
3 ribeyes a day is sitting kind of heavy.
Right? So chicken.
I will just point out too, chicken is incredibly versatile. There are a lot of great chicken recipes. You don't just have to eat your rubberized microwave chicken for every meal.
No, and you can have thighs. You don't need to be scared of the fat. You need to be scared of calories overall. But again, it's like, do you want a chicken thigh or do you want a chicken breast? You got a lot of choice in terms of how you put your macros together. 5, 6, and 7, because we're going to give you 12 foods today. I'm going to group together blueberries, raspberries, strawberries. When you're talking about nutritional nuts and bolts, those have the most nutrients, the most vitamins out of any other piece of fruit. Like if you are comparing apple to a handful of really dark red berries, the dark red berries are going to win. I am not, even though we put the preference on meat, I do not believe in the carnivore diet 100%. Is it better than your standard American diet? Absolutely. Is the vegan diet, a clean vegan diet, better than your average American diet? Probably.
Yeah.
The average American diet is 6 liters of soda a day, 636 average, alcoholic beverages a year. You're going to do better. But on both of those things, you do need some stuff from the ground. So the carnivore diet does need some support. You do need, in a vegan diet, you do need some animal protein. Like an omnivore is the way you want to be. And that's why, who's the guy that came up with the animal diet? Paul Saladino, where it's a carnivore diet, but you can have honey. You can have, I think there's some fruits that you can have. There's certain type of fruits. There's like sweet potato. You can have some things that can support that diet. But red berries,
pretty much if an animal can eat it, you can eat it too, sort of a thing, right?
Yep. But red berries will cover off most of your nutritional nuts and bolts and antioxidants.
And it fills a hole. If all you're eating otherwise is meat, like you're not getting a ton of fiber in that diet. You're not getting a ton of carbs in that diet. And so if you do need that stuff, again, for performance, for training, for just health and longevity, this is the best place to get it from. And again, variety. You got a lot of different kinds of berries to choose from.
They're also really good. If you ever go on a sugar cleanse, like right now you eat a strawberry and it doesn't taste that sweet. If you don't eat sugar for 3 weeks and then have a strawberry, it is nature's perfect candy. In fact, I bet you can remember as a father, the first time Max or Jojo had a strawberry, like the look on their face of like, what is this golden nectar that the gods have bestowed upon me? Like, this is the treat. And I'll tell you, there is almost nothing better than, like, for a dessert, for example, strawberries and handmade whipped cream. I'm not talking like Cool Whip or like spray whipped cream. I'm talking you take actual real cream and you beat it and you have that with strawberries. That's one of the greatest treats that you can ever have, Joe. Like, they are
tasty.
Unreal. Okay. Next up, avocados. A bunch of healthy fat, a bunch of potassium, a bunch of nutrients. Again, a food from the ground that's counted as a superfood that knocks off. You mentioned like there's only so much zinc and all that stuff you can get. Most people don't get nearly enough because they're not eating foods like this. Like, everything they eat has been leached of ingredients. So get some avocado. You'll cover off all your healthy fats. You will cover off almost all the nutrients and vitamins that you need. Next, arugula. You do need some type of leafy green. I tend to stay away, Joe, from kale, from broccoli, from things that are really rough on your digestive system. Here's how it was explained to me by one of the best gut doctors in the world. We call things like spinach, kale, broccoli roughage because it scrapes the inside of your intestines. So imagine you have a propensity to ulcerative colitis. So you've got like a bunch of scabs, open wounds on the inside of your intestines. The last thing you want is a Brillo pad scraping that stuff out. And it's why when a lot of people eat kale for the first time, they've got some digestion issues for the next few days because it can be rough. And arugula gives you all the benefits of the green without the massive dose of cellulose or roughage. So get some greens. And two of the most popular supplements in the world are, back to berries for a second, but reds and greens. Look at how much AG Green sells. First Form has a greens. Green Vibrance has a green commodity or a green. Amazing Grass has a green. Greens are a huge supplement in the fitness industry. Why don't you just grow some arugula in your garden and get greens naturally?
I mean, if you're going to like cook up some eggs, like what does it cost you to just throw some arugula in with that?
Yeah,
like it'll cook right into it and it's delicious. Like,
and it tastes good, right? So arugula. Next up, and Joe, I'm going to give you one of these things, but it could be a lot.
Okay.
Almonds, macadamia nuts, walnuts. Like you need some form of nut. Again, those healthy fats will help brain function. They'll help cardiovascular function.
Yeah.
They'll help keep you full. They're a nice treat, which keeps you satiated. Nuts.
Well, and I think it's really important to point out the satiation level from that kind of fat because it's like a slow burn energy. So you don't get that crash. If you eat a bunch of carbs, like within an hour, you're going to be like crashed and empty and kind of looking for that juice again. But if you would have just gotten, a handful of almonds instead, or even just like 3 almonds for that matter, like that is a slow, steady, kind of keeps those cravings off. I've had more luck battling the late day cravings by increasing my natural fats during the day. And I don't feel that crash at night. So there's that too. It helps regulate.
You got it. Next up, olive oil.
Yeah.
Again, healthy fats. Everyone's taking some type of healthy fat supplement. You can get it rather naturally. And again, back to that Mediterranean diet. People that have olive oil, people that have fish, they don't have a high instance of cardiovascular disease. Are some olive oils better than others? Yes, just like everything on this list.
Everything is labeled extra virgin olive oil, but it's not necessarily the right stuff, right? Like there's no real control.
One of the things that people look into actually is where it's sourced from.
Yeah.
Like apparently if it comes from a really like dry, hot climate like Morocco, it's better than some other places. I say Morocco. I was actually doing some research on this the other day. Apparently from a health perspective, olive oil that comes from Morocco is the best. And then the second is Tuscany. And then the third, they gave a big list. Now, I don't know if that matters that much versus how it's grown, how it's taken care of, what the compost in the soil is and all that kind of stuff.
Well, in the processing too, like whether it's, hydrologized or not, like that matters too. So you do have to look at the bottle. You have to trust where you're getting it from. Always know your dealer.
Yeah, here's the other thing that I have to point out, Joe, and it kind of goes along with our next food. And our next food, spoiler alert, is going to be potatoes. Don't get all in your feelings. Potatoes are good for you. But the one thing you have to be careful with olive oil is you want it raw. You do not want to cook it at a massive temperature. There's this whole thing with seed oils, right? We're going to remove seed oils from McDonald's. It's going to make America healthy again, and that's great. No, the problem is we're eating McDonald's. I don't care if it's cooked in beef tallow. I don't care if it's cooked in coconut oil. Like, I don't want you under the impression that you heard this list from 2 guys on YouTube, and then you go into Whole Foods and you're like, ooh, those potato chips. Bobby said I could have potatoes, and those potatoes are cooked in olive oil. I can have them. Like, you put olive oil in a deep fryer, it ceases to be olive oil.
Yeah.
It ceases to be healthy, and it's no different than any other fat you're going to cook stuff in at that point. So when I say you should have more olive oil, I'm talking dressing on your salad. I'm talking a marinade. I'm not talking something that's deep fried.
Yeah, you need to cook it low and slow, right? Like you don't want it smoking.
Yep. And that leads into potatoes. Potatoes, entire civilizations have been built off of potatoes. Civilizations, you mentioned earlier, have crumbled because they did not have potatoes. A potato's been unfairly villainized, but it has more potassium than a banana in it. And when we talk about, one of the things we talk about all the time is you got to be able to pluck it from the ground and eat it. A potato is as natural a source of carbohydrates as a berry or a banana or an avocado or like whatever you want to eat. Like you can literally grow it and farm it out of the ground. It's an incredible
and there's a big difference though between eating like a baked potato and eating French fries. You know, like you got to remember that too. And when people think potatoes, that's what they want to do. They want their waffle fries. They want their tater tots. They're not thinking about a baked potato.
No, so I'll give you the scale. I'll give you the scale, Joe. Number one thing you could eat is probably a baked potato.
Mm-hmm.
2, I mean, depending how you make it, maybe a mashed potato, like a plain mashed potato. But now, are you adding butter? Are you adding cream? Are you adding? The way I do my chips now, I slice a potato with like a mandolin slicer, super thin. Put it on a sheet in the air fryer, and it just comes out. You add salt, and you were done. If you want to brush them lightly with olive oil after a little salt, it adds a little flavor. But that's different than putting the oil on first and sticking it in the air fryer. And that's also different than eating chips or McDonald's or processed potatoes. Like there's a whole grade here. But a potato at itself, unfairly villainized. And a potato, maybe rice or oatmeal in that regard too, is going to be better than a piece of bread. You don't see a bread tree. It's going to be better than pizza. So for all the people that claim they need carbs for energy, a potato will do you wonders.
Well, and it's a starch too, so it's more of like a slow release. So again, you're not getting that sugar crash from eating it.
And it's like, when I make those chips, Joe, I am satisfied. Like literally put them in the air fryer, pull them out, lightly brush them with olive oil and salt. Like I'm a happy guy. You know what I mean? So now let's look at these 12 foods. Steak, eggs, fish, chicken, blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, avocado, arugula, almonds, potato, and olive oil. If that was 100% of your diet, you would be the healthiest you've ever been in your life. Like if that's literally all you consume, your health bar would be 100%.
Yeah.
If you had 95-5, we talk about the 90-10 diet, but 95% of your diet was this, you would be good to go from a health perspective. The lower you get on this scale, the worst things are going to be for you. And I would argue, what do you think most Americans are? 30, 70? Like,
yeah. I mean, it's going to be awful. Much worse than you want it to be, for sure.
Berries, avocados on a regular basis. Like they're not, right? If you ate even a 90-10 diet like this, and the other 10%, then you could step out a little bit, you would have a much better life. And the thing I want to leave the audience with today is when we talk about longevity, we're not just talking about living longer, literally. I'm talking what's the quality of your life in your 70s.
Yeah, being healthier longer.
Because there are people that hang on till they're 100, but like they are not happy. They are not miserable. And whenever you look at like these blue zones, these people that live to be 100, Joe, these people that are not even live to be 100, but are 90 and like doing their own gardening and walking 5 miles a day. It's funny. They live in a lot of Mediterranean areas and their diet is like olive oil, fish, and berries. Like there's too much anecdotal evidence to support this than there is not, is the point.
Yeah.
So there you go. 12 foods that you should eat, and just start including these. Like what I try to do is I'm going to eat lunch after we're done recording today. I'm going to go to the fridge and I'm going to look for, okay, do I have steak? Do I have eggs? Do I have fish? Do I have chicken? Okay, what's my good protein source? I'm going to grab that out. Next, I need a berry or some type of plant. Okay, do I have red berries? Do I have avocados? Do I have a potato? Do I have whatever? And like, what's my source of healthy fat? And I just start to put these things together. And usually, Joe, I'm more happier than not.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's not a bad thing. And I kind of go down the list too. Yesterday, I didn't have any potatoes left in the house, but I had some organic white rice. So I chose white rice. Okay, maybe that falls in the 10%, but it's hard to argue that it's that much worse than a potato.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then you start to put these things together. You have a happy, well-balanced meal versus going to the fridge and grabbing out, I'm going to have a hot dog and then I'm going to go grab a bag of Doritos, which is how most people eat. So that's it. 12 foods. If you like this content, subscribe. That's the biggest thing. Also, help us bump the algorithm up. Make sure you like this video. And we would love to hear from you.
Yep.
What is your go-to health food? Put it in the comments below. We would love to hear from you. We'll see you next time.